Hi everyone on YouTube. This is Na again, making another one of my live Come Alive YouTube stream. So today we are going to make another video in continuation of the case of the Vietnamese bitch, Catherine Quebecer, that is still locked up in jail today, on the topic of how to deal with verbal abuse, right? From Vietnamese bitches like her, right? So we're going to jump right into it. All right, so how do you deal with, obviously in the case of Catherine Quebecer, the Vietnamese bitch that mutilated, right, her, the man's penis, how do you deal with verbal attack from bitches like that in general in real life, right? How do you defend yourself against like verbal attack, abuse? And what is the psychology behind these individuals, and what does it mean to you, and what you could do to protect yourself? So, their mom here, the reason why I say that, because I don't want to have anything to do with her, and I'm here to blast her ass, her Vietnamese ass, all over YouTube. So usually people who have no life, like the people here, they have no real job, they have no real education, right? But they're always those kind of individuals that are insulting people, right? Calling them stupid and stuff. And usually the ulterior motive is money. These kind of pathetic piece of shits in life will do that, right? It's their way of manipulating people into their life and wallet, like a maggot, right? So their mom here, right? She has no life like the rest of them. Their home is for shits. They don't really have any employment, ever did. They never care to work out anything. It's proof the crap in the house shows that things are at its worst. Even if death is staring at them in the face, they would not even care to clean up, right? Unfortunately, there are sick people like that. And, like I said, they're usually the uneducated people like them, right? Vietnamese people who are insulting and, right, they're just out to put you down, destroy your life, and so on and so on. And then they blame it on the Vietnamese culture or whatever. And, like I said, they're usually nobodies in life. And that's what happens when you don't have anything going for you at home. Nobody wants to hire you. And, you have no brains to you, right? So the individual here, as you will see in the video to my right, we're going to record her face and what she says as evidence, because I am building a case with her with my clinic pretty much for half of my life to get a restraining order to keep her sorry ass out of my life, right? Unfortunately, there are people in life, no matter how much you tell them, you don't want to have anything to do with them, right? You block their calls, you don't answer your Gmail, you stay away from them, they come back. They worm their way back into your life. So there is an Asian bitch here too, their mother, who is kind of like Catherine Quebecer. They're all the same. And if they don't try to do some physical damage, it's mental, right? So let's talk about that. The best way to deal with a crazy individual, right? It's not as easy as them, right? Pulling shit, like standing there talking to themselves. We need to expose it to everybody. and in hopes that at least people know and can stay the hell away from them, right? So I woke up this morning, and as usual, when you're dealing with nobodies who have no job, because nobody wants to employ them, no home, right? Their home is for shits, and right, no education. They have no brains to them, right? But they think they know better. You get a lot of idiots like that outside of Santa Ana College, right? So usually when you're like that and you have no life, you basically, right, go get into other people's life and gossip, right? Make up stories, make up lies, right? Talk bad behind people's back, backstab, right? And all that good stuff. So we're going to expose all of that. And what happened this morning? So the best way to do, if you are building a case to keep these kind of nutcases away from you, record everything they say and do. Then, if you're working with your clinic or social services and stuff like that, then you have evidence, right? And you can show it before the courts. Totally different game plan. So when I woke up this morning, of course, crazy individuals talk to themselves and they talk to their pets. So she was telling her dog that she abuses that I killed my last dog, right? And there's no truth to that. She is a liar and a pathological liar, and I am here to expose all that. All right. Nobody really knows the cause of why my last dog died, but this bitch here is going around telling everybody that I killed my last dog, right? When she had no part in taking care of the dog, and my dog hates her like everybody else. So let's go and talk about, the signs of abuse, right? And what you could do about it. I will post a link of some things you could do as far as, right, social services, 411 general, 211 social services. They can give you information. If you are in an abusive relationship, right, you can report it beyond the police. Adult Protective Services, how to get a restraining order, right? And how you can get professional help, right? And move on with your life. So here, from my experience in my life with the idiots here, who likes to slam door, watch. She's going to slam doors because that's what she does. How to get money from people. She slams doors. So, what are the signs of verbal and physical abuse, and why does somebody even do that, right? Usually, sometimes it's ulterior motives like money, right? But the best thing you could do is expose it. So their lovely little mom here, for the record, long time ago said I was better off dead, right? And her lovely little Vietnamese, because she's always eavesdropping in my life. And I was upstairs in my bedroom and I was laid back on my bed. Okay. So she's got a nosy into my room in my life, even though nobody wants her there. And we're working on a restraining order. And she said under her breath in Vietnamese, I was better off dead. ... Unless I have money for her. So let's go ahead and expose why she says that, right? So she has kicked my dad out on the street when he was alive and went to his bank in Garden Grove, right? He told me that somebody named his wife came along and wiped out all his bank account. The same person that kicked him out on the street, okay? The only time she ever contacted him was for money. was for money, while she was with other men. And then when he died, after her verbal and physical abuse, she went to his funeral and cried and, put on an act like she cared and touched his face. Ooh, and pretended that she cared because to fight for survivor's money after he divorced her crazy ass too. So you got a lot of Catherine Q, Vietnamese bitch characters going in life, right? And pretty much their act is the same. They've been watching too much soap operas. So she did that, right? And she did the same to my older sister. She verbally abused her, made fun of her, said that she takes forever to finish medical school, ... right? With the intentions of using my older sister today to get money from her, right? So you see that sometimes you have to examine, are people just complete fucking morons just for committing verbal, physical abuse? Or is there an underlying, a lot of people, that's their form of manipulation, right? Especially if somebody who has an anger issue, right? You are going to do what I want, or I'm going to get mad. And then there's people that I know who are severely mentally ill, and their form of manipulation comes across like very nice, right? But either way, anybody who uses you in any way is an abuser, right? And I mean, it could be to use you to verbally abuse you, physically, sexually, financially, or any other which way. So from there, right, she grew up where she verbally abused my other sister, right? I saw her hit my other sister, and my other sister isn't like me. She doesn't fight back, but I do. So, she uses that sister for money too, right? So you can see the correlation, right? Like robbing somebody of their bank account, moving to the daughters, asking for their money, right? And it's a pattern of they abuse you, then they go ask for money. They abuse you, go ask for money. Same thing. It's a repeated pattern. She did that to my brother, right? She lies to her friends that my brother abuses her all the time, right? And usually in college, when somebody gives an absolute adjective, like all the time, that's absolutely false, right? And I've seen her on the phone lie to her stupid Vietnamese friends that are actually dumb enough to believe her that my brother abuses her all the time. And she fakes cries and she lies and she fabricates those lies. And my brother is up in his bedroom doing absolutely nothing to her. So you see the mental disorder here and the money, right? And for your information, my two other sisters have more money than me. They've offered to pay off her house here and the other sister gives her a credit card. She doesn't want it because it would ruin her, right? Boo-hoo, I'm Vietnamese, poor me persona. So who does she target? Me, right? I am the one with the least amount of money in my house and I'm disabled, right? And she tells all of my friends, and all of my friends hate her. She says that, there's something wrong with me because I do not make as much money as her other kids, right? And my friends think she's a bitch and they don't want to have anything to do with her. So her efforts in bad mouthing me in front of my friends, right? They're my friends, they're not hers, right? They don't like her. It only backfires in her face, right? So in the past, the way she has exploited my SSI, one, she tells everybody that I got locked up because I was crazy. Actually, I got locked up because she's crazy. The hospital was trying to protect me from her, right? and her stupid ass boyfriend. Both of them have criminal records, and I will expose that too. So, I'm thinking, well, you don't need money from crazy people, right? So she, long time ago, she would, treat me like I'm retarded and say, if you give me all of your check, how like handicapped people, they give all of their money away to their caretakers, right? To take, because they cook and clean and everything. So she tried to pull that, right? And, she tried to just basically get most of my SSI. And a question to you, why would you need money from crazy individuals, right? And, after she tried to get me to give all her money away, it turns out she doesn't do anything here, right? So at least handicapped people, when they pay all that money, people actually cook and clean for them and stuff. Here, it's all an act and manipulation of money. As you can see, there's a pattern here. And then when I lost my HUD apartment due to romance scamming, that's how I met my friend, Captain James Van Talk, because he fights romance scam. We both know about my scammer. She tried to charge me $500 just to stay on her shitty sofa, right? And, for my HUD apartment, I only paid $150, right? And now I'm paying double that, because it's for utilities. But when I'm studying, right, and I have the light on, she goes, turn it off, because she's crazy. She's like Catherine Q. Becker. They will prove their insanity, right? This is how the idiot helps you in school, that when I study, right, I turn on the light, she turns it off. She lies to people that I don't do anything with my life. I don't see her sorry ass in school, right? Dumb fuck in school. Or trying to go to work or do anything for society, right? Pathological liar. You have to expose them what they are. Remember I told you yesterday, they are, as they lie as their name, and they're fucking pathological liars. So when I moved away in my HUD apartment, she stalked me. See, for the record, that's stalking and that's a crime. My movers, right, helped me move my stuff. I did not allow her there. We left the paper here from the movers, and she got a hold of it, came to my residence, right? And started banging on my door. It's all an act. She tried to put on an act like she's so concerned, right, that I got to get the hell away from her. And it was just an act, because she knew with my head, I only paid $150, which left a lot of money, right, left. And she had me, she tried to play poor when my other sisters who have more money, right, are giving her money and their credit cards. And she has the chance to go to work too. It's all a poor, get rich, old scheme act. Right? The old, fragile, poor Vietnamese women, right? So yeah, she went to my house, and I had to go to Wells Fargo and pull out my little money that I had left to give it to her, when my other siblings are offering her to pay off like her house and give their credit cards. And my sister has, American Express, which is a big credit card. So you see the bullshit throughout all of this, right? And her intent is basically she's using everybody in my family. She tells her family, let me speak louder for this on the record. She tells her family, that she regrets having children, but she needs their money. And she, once she gets their money, she plans to sell the house. She hopes that we're homeless, like she did to my dad, because she's a bitch, right? She's a sorry ass bitch that always hopes because she's mental. She thinks she has all this power that, right, she could just wave her magic wand and something bad is going to happen to us, right? But it's not. It's not, right? Thanks to her acting crazy and everybody knowing about it, right? I have all these people and all these forms of help, right? So she tells all her stupid ass friends, yeah, I made a mistake having kids. You shouldn't have kids in life. But she loves their money, and she talks about it like every second. Money this, money that, lottery this, gambling that, stimulus this, right? And a long time ago in Anaheim, I got into a car accident where I won. My sister helped me win $2,500. And I was dumb enough to give it to this sorry ass bitch. A year later, I asked her, what did you do with the money? And her response was, what money? Right? So apparently, she went gambling with it. And that was where she was thrown into corrections in San Diego. Right? It's always about how much money she can rob from a bank or stuff. She's been arrested. South Coast Plaza Mall, Costa Mesa PD, South Coast Plaza Mall security officer, right? Right? And I know, and that's why I became a security officer for Securitas, right? To protect the mall against people like her. So anyways, she's hiding behind the door like a crazy bitch, right? Because she knows I'm exposing her insanity. So let's continue. So the devil hides, right, when we expose the truth, right? So, yeah. And, ironically, she's always like, someday I'm going to get rid of this house and all my kids are going to be homeless. She thinks she's so mental and powerful. And, right, everybody's going to die. She tells my sibling, oh, I'm dying. And I laugh. I'm like, don't we all dying? Like, can't you come up with something new to milk your kids for money? And then you tell your friends behind their back that you wish they were never born, right? And I was better off dead. Right? She thinks I don't know. She said that under her breath in her stupid ass little Vietnamese bitch way, like Catherine Q. But I know everything about these bitches. Not only do I know, but my clinic knows. My clinic that has been with me pretty much for half of my life. I'm 50 and half of my life. So they've got a book literally about this thick about all the shit she fucking does, right? So we have more than enough to get a restraining order, right? And then fucking mental game is over. You can go get locked up with Catherine Q. Becker, right? So, that's what's going on. The motivation is obviously there. Money and stuff, right? And, in terms of people like her, like I said, The reason why they're not letting Catherine Q. Becker out is because she's loose, right? And she's had a history of doing this to my dad, to my two sisters, to my brother, to her relatives, to pretty much everybody around her, right? And now me. I don't put up with it, right? I fight back. One time, crazy bitch here, in terms of Catherine Q. Becker, crazy bitch here tried to pull out a scissor, like an actual one of these, on me in my teens in Garden Grove. And she barged into my room, like kind of like this other retard, Catherine Q. Becker. She barged into my room when I was a teen, and with a an office scissor. And I, of course, grabbed it out of her hands, right? And I threw it out of her hands, right? And basically, I grabbed her wrist so hard that I put a bruise on it. Good. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. That's what you get for being stupid with me. Remember what I said. It doesn't start with crazy people. The course of your insanity ends with me and God, I assure you. So I grabbed her wrist and I put a lovely little bruise on it for her, just like when she got arrested at Southwest Plaza Mall, right? And she's always trying to tell people, right, how bad I am, how scared I am of Mexican. Her lies goes on and on and on and on. And every single time she says or does something, it just proves how crazy she is. So when she was arrested, they also put a lovely little bruise on her wrist too. Just to remind crazy people like her and Catherine Q, you're not in fucking control. You're not in fucking control here. So yeah, I fight back, right? Physically and verbally in every which way. You know, I tell people, like, why the fuck was I born in this fucked up family, right? But, growing up, now I know why. Because if I wasn't here, that crazy bitch would raise fucking hell on this family and everything else. That's why. So, there is a lot of things that, to this abuse that hasn't been on record that I will put on records. She actually invited her boyfriend to abuse my siblings' other dogs. And some of the things that they've done to them is, of course, neglect and abuse, right? Her boyfriend boiled hot water and splashed it on my sister's golden retriever's face. Prior to the mixed shepherd's death, the dog was limping. And one day I came home and the golden retriever had blood on his face. And this crazy bitch, I caught her cutting off the fur of the golden retriever to hide it from animal control, right? And animal control is stupid enough, right, to think it was a possum or something. No, possums don't do that, right? My golden retriever had blood on his face, and it wasn't just blood like a scratch from a possum, but he looked like somebody hit him. These two idiots here did it, right? And it needs to be exposed. And she used to call her Vietnamese boyfriend, you got an old bitch who has a younger boyfriend. Like, how fucking embarrassing, right? All of her relatives looks down on her. And he used to be a bouncer. Like, how fucking pathetic. she pretty much shocked up with him and let him beat up on her because she's too lazy to get a goddamn job and support herself. And this is what he did to the dogs. And, you know, ironically, they call the dog Lucky. I'm like, hell fucking no. The dog was unlucky to be with these fucking idiots. And not only she's abusive, but her relatives. She had a brother who was alcoholic, typical bum, no job, no school, no work, all the above. And he used to come over and drink and leech off of people. Most of them do, using this Vietnamese refugee crap, right? And he abused the dog too. He used to take their heads and press it together. They're insane. It's in their genes, right? Brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, they're all crazy. So anyways, that is the history of it, right? And I will go into telling more about how she allowed her boyfriend to verbally, physically, and sexually abuse me. She's going to deny it, just like him. You know, he said, you know, I never did whatever, right? Because he was drunk, right? But one time, you know, I was sleeping in my teen, and he came home drunk, went into my bedroom in Garden Grove on Lamson and Magnolia, and tried to get on top of me and kiss me. And guess what whore was there? Their mother. She was standing there watching it, right? My oldest sister, husband, masturbated in front of me when my nephew was about 5 years old. I'm trying to show you, right, the sick gene. When he was like 5 years old, because my oldest sister had my second nephew, and I guess it was a challenge for them to have sex. So I came over and visit my nephew. He was maybe 5 or 4 at the time, to get him some Lego and Chinese food. And then sicko, pervert, valedictorian, Vietnamese idiot, Bolsa Grande high school that has no fucking job to this day by choice, right? You gotta love it when you got like fucking outsiders try to override your family. And pervert, you know, he's retaliating because I reported his ass to Garden Grove PD to tell my sister not to help me. Like, I want to have anything to fucking do with them. They don't get it. To this day, there's a part of their brain, they don't get it. I don't want to have anything to do with them. Nobody does. Nobody does. They don't get it. And don't fall for their, you know, I'm saying I'm sorry, right? Because you know what? It's a second chance for them to do it again. I assure you. So anyways, pervert, my sister husband, he started jerking off right in front of me. And I knew what he was doing. So I left. I reported to Garden Grove PD. And unfortunately, since my sister is harboring this loser, there's nothing they could do about it, right? But this sick bitch was trying to defend perverts, right? Like she does every other perverts that she old lady tried to have sex with, said that he was itching. He wasn't masturbating, folks. He was itching, right? And she's not crazy. We are all crazy, right? So let's expose the truth. And she knows I'm exposing the truth. That's why she was hiding like a demon behind the door. Her hands were on the door and trying to prevent my kitties from coming back here. She's a demon. She's a fucking demon. You know, demons are like, they're things that are, right? They're of the realms of hell. They're dead spirits, right? And they have no place, right? So what do? They latch. Demons. Literally. They tried to pretend, and Orange County Sheriff Barnes and the sheriff knows about this. They killed my grandpa because they basically put on this act of like they care, right? And they didn't do like anything to take care for his basic needs. And he ended up, 98-year-old senior, right, having to be by himself on First and Euclid. And he underestimated the vehicle as to why they are not driving him around, right? And he got struck by a vehicle and he died. True, he jaywalked, but you have to question, where are his kids, right? The only person that showed up was Santa Ana PD and CSI. And I have talked about this with Santa Ana PD. They had to, his kids never fucking showed up. That's why I'm my grandpa's favorite, right? But I have a cousin that's adopted. Her name is Isabel. And sicko, they're all sick. Every single fucking one of them is sick by association. Sicko gave her kids that she got from a Mexican guy my grandpa's last name. It's like, did my grandpa give you your kids? Like, don't whore out my grandpa because you're a goddamn French whore, right? And you want to cover up that, right? So yes, and she that bitch, Isabel, right, and her French ass, fat ass, if I had a chance to confront her, trust me, I'm gonna beat the Dow out of her. I'm gonna beat the fucking Dow out of her. Let's just put it that way. So as you can see, sick. And, I'm going to expose the psychology behind it and what we could all fucking do about it, right? I mean, how do you deal with these fucking nutcases, right? So let's expose the psychology behind it. Alrighty, so I will show you some visuals. And then we'll break down, right, what you could do. By understanding more details. Okay, so this is about the nerve cell, right? I'm going to give you a little visual. The nerve cell is in blue, right? And that is called the neuron, right? Maybe I should turn on my lights because you guys can't see me. You notice crazy people? They love to be crazy, but they love to cover up and hide, right? Like, we don't already know they're crazy. That's the definition of crazy. Like, they're separate and apart from everybody. So here is a picture of Alzheimer's disease, right? So it says that dementia involving decline in cognitive and adaptive function, right? Now that's with Alzheimer's, right? But in general, what Cerebral, right, my class is teaching that anything that interferes with your cognition and adaptive brain functioning, right? I'll give you a visual of the normal brain, right? And I'll give you a visual of Alzheimer, right? Alzheimer, or it could be even a crazy individual, right? All right, let's move on to the next one. Oh, I missed one. And then it went on to say the amyloid plagues, right? Let me put this light on me so you guys can see. It is the amyloid plagues, all right? I'm going to show you a visual. The things in red, right? These are proteins aggregated in spaces, right? Between the neurons, right? But in terms of Alzheimer, right? It is like a plague to the brain, causing different brains, Alzheimer, right? You think of in terms of other plagues, right? Let's look up of plagues. It says a contagious bacterial disease characterized by fever and delirium or confusion, typically with the formation of buboes or bubonic plague, and sometimes infections of the lungs and pneumonia. An outbreak of plague causes contagious trouble or distress, right? He has been plagued by ill health. All right. So let's move on. And then I show you the picture of the brain, right? The deterioration of the brain. Here's more closer look, side by side. Okay. So let's say hypothetically, this is the brain of a normal individual trying to be healthy, right? This is the brain of a crazy individual, like classic case here, that enjoys being sick, right, to others. So you can see the difference between this one and this one, right? You know, think of it in terms of, if you look at it up close, what does it look like to you? Your big molar in your mouth, right? Because that's what they are. They're just a rotten fucking teeth in life. Right? See that? Minus Alzheimer, because that's a different case. I'm just using it as an analogy. All right, so let's move on. And I wrote here in my notes with my boyfriend that learn better, right? So learning, believe it or not, can help you better yourself, right? Right? But you know that's separate and apart from people who enjoys being sick and they're stupid, right? But they think otherwise, right? That's part of the mental illness. So here they talk about atherosclerosis, right? Atherosclerosis, clogging of the arteries due to plague buildups. Now, a lot of time is this cardiovascular, that's of the heart, and right? But what this Cerebral program was engaged for my abnormal psychology is saying that it can happen anywhere, right? Even in your brain. Even in your brain. Okay? And a lot of it, so here, we already touched base on the neuron, the nerve cell. In here, they go on to talk about the neurofibrillary tangles, all right? So we talked about the red one. We talked about the neuron, right? The thing in the middle. Now we're talking about the stuff in between. And that is the neurofibrillary tangle. All right, these are the twisted fibers of tau. All right. Okay. Trying to show a light so you guys can see me. And they went on to say, point out the red thing again. And it says that it is also proteins, right? Aggravated in the space between neurons, right? That causes brain pathology. So what is brain pathology? Is dysfunction or disease of the brain, right? So, you know, a lot of times you hear of this in cardiovascular, and that is just to the heart and blood vessels. But we're not going to talk about the heart, right? It's about the brain. So let's examine what sickos, like the ones here, when they are mentally abusive, what impact does it have on you and everybody, right? And why you know, sick people I've learned in my lifetime. And I've been, you know, I've had a lot of experience. This exposure to this family and their relatives and so on and so on, to know, right? So these are the different things that can happen, right? And why I've chosen to personally protect myself and all people, because I'm very well aware the last 50 years of my life what crazy individuals are capable of, right? So the first category is bruising of the brain or a cerebral contusion. All right? So how can you get that? Right? From physical abuse, from being hit in the head. Now, let me tell you something about Vietnamese culture. Those Vietnamese bitches and hoes, they love culturally, right? Because they're soap opera, they love to slap you in the face. Like this bitch here did to me when I was a teen. But if she did it today, you know, it would be the end of her, right? So bruising of the brain, it is where you are physical, right? Punched in the face, right? Bitch slap like this Asian old hag here, or her boyfriend, right? Her boyfriend that she uses, and she stalked him too, for the record, in Vietnam, because he wanted to leave her and he divorced her ass. So as you can see, I've got evidence here of stalking, and also she stalked her sister outside her residence in Westminster. Enough for a restraining order. Okay. So being like punched, right, which is what her boyfriend did a long time ago to me. And when I called Santa Ana police, liar here is heard in the background. When I call Santa Ana police, she's lying, right? When she's a liar. So when the police came, they were, They didn't know what to do. And later, several years later, the case was open again. And they contacted me in Anaheim, like a detective in Santa Ana. And they said, do you remember that incident? And I said, yeah. I said, your men didn't do anything about it. And that's how these right? Now they're doing something with they know how crazy the Vietnamese people are. Captain Quebecer, now they're doing something about it. They're taking it more seriously, right? But the detective asked me, do you remember that? And I said, yeah, you didn't do anything. And that's why, the Vietnamese people, they're crazy, the crazies, right? They think they could do whatever. And, they said, you're not in trouble. We're just reinvestigating that case, trying to get information from you and, as to what happened and why the officer didn't make an arrest, right? So apparently he's gone, right? It doesn't help when you got crazy individuals and then you have cops, rotten cops that doesn't do anything to stop them. And I was going to say, sick people, I have learned in my lifetime, being around sickos here, like the coronavirus pandemic, how do you know an individual is sick? One, they do the same shit over and over and over again. Two, they lack total ability to stop. And three, they think they're some kind of fucking rock star, right, folks? They want the 3 second of fame. All right, so that is one of the first kind of brain injuries. It's called cerebral contusion, bruising of the brain, right? And this is a direct result from a physical abuse, which follows, right, is after verbal, you see? Another form of brain from these crazy individuals is cerebral laceration. Now that is when there's an open head injury in which brain tissue is damaged, right? So open head. So it's not just injury to the brain, but where, right, your brain, right, it's open, right? So you need to be aware that there are crazy individuals out there and they're very capable of doing all this, and you need to protect yourself, right? Another one is chronic traumatic encephalopathy. So what is this one? It is progressive degenerative condition involving brain damage from multiple head injury. So this, once it's done repeated, this is what happens, right? You will have a progressive degenerative condition, usually involving cognition and day-to-day activity because of these crazy motherfuckers, right? I'm giving them the 3 seconds of fame. Another one is concussion, right? This is trauma-induced changes in brain functioning, all right? So cognition and functioning, right? Cognition, functioning, concussion. And you will experience a delirium, confusion, right? So that's not like, oh, I'm so delirious, happy, or depressed. It just means you're confused, right? So I'm here to make it clear to you. Crazy people, like their mother here, can go to hell. Sooner the better. So here we're going to talk again about the amyloid plague, which I didn't get. And that is, I've done 17 concepts. And it goes on to reiterate about dementia. Okay, it's a condition with symptoms involving deterioration of cognitive function. Right? Now that's for like old people because they're getting old, right? Or it could be for young. But we're talking about the middle ground, right? And then they went on to saying dementia with Lewy bodies. So what is Lewy bodies? Is a deterioration of cognitive function, right? Cognition, function, it goes hand in hand. You have to understand what's going on, and then you understand your behavior, involving visual hallucination. Okay, now I want to stop here and interject that there was an article, although I couldn't include it in my Halloween paper. It said that schizophrenia, babies are not born with it, right? And they have what's called emotional or EE, all right? And they said it's usually the language that people who related to schizophrenia, right? So, you know, a lot of times, right, where we say, oh, schizophrenic, they see and hear things. Well, if they have EE, right, if they have related people that are verbally and physically abusing them, which research has proven people with mental illnesses are more victims than, perpetrators, then that explains why people who are schizophrenic have visual hallucination. And I told my clinic a long time ago, there is a fine line between somebody who chooses to be crazy, like her, ironically, than somebody that has been driven crazy by people like her, right? I want you guys to understand that silver lining very clearly. All right, so go on to the frontal temporal lobar degeneration, or FTLD. All right, that's the best way to understand it. That's a long word. It is dementia. I want you guys to kind of include that out because that's more like for old people, involving brain degeneration that cause language decline. So anything in the lobar, right, affects speech, right? And that's one of the characteristics of schizophrenia. So who is the real monsters? It's not Michael Myers. That's my point. Once you understand all this, right, you see things like things are unveiled to you. Your mind is open. And then hemophagic stroke. What is that? It's an event during which a blood vessel bursts in the brain. Right? It can happen internally, and it can also happen if somebody strikes you. Right? So, from this point on, the rest of the years, 50 years of my life, crazy people like their mom can go to hell. And I've dedicated the rest of the 50 years of my life to prevent them from being around me and pretty much everybody, right? Because I'm very, very much aware of what they're able to do if I am not in the picture, right? So it's a stroke, that's internal, but it also can be if somebody strikes you. right? And usually people, let's slow it down. People who strikes other people, it's because in their mind, nothing has stopped them, right? The police aren't stopping them. The sheriff, CDCR, she's been thrown in corrections in San Diego and she's still crazy. So in their minds, they're like, nothing's stopping me, right? I could pull the same shit because I am a fucking rock star, right? Sick motherfucker, right? That's why. And in a lot of crimes, they feel they're in control, right, of the crowd. Now, I am telling everybody to reverse that. And I'm going to show you exactly how. Okay? And here's a larger overview of the hemorrhage stroke. And just a general picture of the brain, okay? And I promised in my last video, and I will show you in this video, you see that little red area right here, right there? Okay, that is the Egyptian third eye, the hippocampus that I was talking about. You see that? Right? I'm going to show you a picture of the third eye and why the Bible said put on the full armor of Christ. Because there's a lot of motherfuckers out there that think they know God, but they go on day in and day out, every second of their fucking pathetic waste of breath life doing bad stuff, right? Put on the full armor of Christ, especially that of the helmet. So now you know what. So let's look up the Egyptian third eye. And I will go into more, right, the emotional abuse, why they say, what they hope they get out of it, other than money, right? Money motivated their mom here. Could be other reasons. It could be political, it could be religious, occult, it could be something social conflict. So let's look at the Egyptian third eye. And what I found when you're dealing with crazy people like here, when you talk a lot of common sense, you know, and exclude them, it is like holy water on the fucking devil. They're like, right? They can't handle it. So let's look at the Egyptian third eye. Which is also on our money, and I will tell you what that means according to a video on Facebook. Third eye Egyptian. Here it is. So here, I will download this photo and, you know, screenshot it and share it on social media because I think it's very interesting. So this is the third eye, or the eye of Horus. You guys see that? See that? Bring it closer. So in other words, since the Egyptian times, if you don't put up your guards against these crazy motherfuckers in life, you know, stupid ass Vietnamese bitches, if they can somehow invade that space, right, which is, it's not the hippocampus, it's the thalamus, right? It's called the thalamus. Let me put it closer to you guys. You see this? This dot right here? if they can invade that, right, and mind fuck with you, they will. And once they penetrate your mind, they got the very heart of your soul. So now you get it. That's why during the Egyptian time, I'll post up something interesting. They build the pyramid, right? The pyramid, for the most part, serves as a protection. And if you ever study the pyramids, even to this day, it's very interesting, right? The Egyptians not only did this hieroglyphic as a protection, but the pyramid. And guess what? A lot of times during the areas of which, right, the Sphinx and stuff, and where they find the mummies, guess what? Cats. Back when they had cats, and archaeologists has found that the Egyptians buried their cats next to them. Why? Because in one article, I don't know where I got it, maybe YouTube, the cats is to protect the soul. Right? And there is actually on YouTube. That's very true. There was a video of a cat, and it was a ghost of a cat following another cat. Yeah, somebody caught it, and it was following another cat, protecting it. Because some things you can't kill, right? And, cats, stray pets on the street, right? People, I tell people this world is backwards. They're all like, oh, that cat's sad, right? And I said, no, it's the other way around. This world is sad. This world is sad. They don't see any value in cats and stray animals, and people on the streets and stuff, right? And then you got people here wishing that people end up on the streets for her because she's crazy. So that is the third eye and the eye of Horus. I will take a photo of it. And upload it so everybody can see and start protecting themselves. So here I'm going to post it on my social media. And share it on my Twitter. My Twitter is a little bit of my criminal justice, psychology, and a little bit of like my liberal arts. I wanted the photos to delete. I wanted the screenshot, so we'll screenshot it and show it on Twitter. Show it to tweet. And then I'll screenshot it again. Post to the Tumblr. And then I will screenshot it and keep it for myself. So I screenshot it and keep it in my gallery. Alrighty, so let's go on from where we left off. Let's go on where we left off. Let's see here. So moving on to, you have neurodegeneration, which is decline in brain function, because that's what sickos, right, and stupid people do to you, right? It's like that's their brain, so they're going to try to bring you down to their level, right? And then Parkinson disease is a progressive disorder characterized by poorly uncontrollable motor movements, like Michael J. Fox. Now, this is a medical condition because anything medical is not because they're crazy, but because they can't control it. All right, so it's different. But what they want to show is that, you know, your brain, right? You need to protect it because bad things can happen. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, as far as neurodegeneration, I said that, you know, there's a bunch of mental exercises that you could do to help with that, right? So anyways, we're going to move on, and then we're going to talk about the plague. That's crazy people. Crazy people here and everybody, here and everywhere, right? So what is a plague? It's a sticky material that builds up on arteries, and there's sticky materials that builds up on arteries and vein walls. Kind of like crazy individuals. You know how they like to like cling on to you because they have nowhere to go in life? So that's a plague, and it can be anywhere in your body. And then a stroke. A stroke is a sudden halt of blood flow to a portion of the brain. Okay, so it's different. A stroke is a sudden halting of blood flow to a portion of the brain. Okay, so that's a stroke. And then you have transient ischemic attack, and that's a mini stroke resulting from temporary blockage of arteries. All right, so what they're saying is that these plagues, right, like crazy people here, can create major strokes and mini strokes. All right? And then traumatic brain injury is actual physical damage to the brain. And that's crazy individuals, right? So vascular neurocognitive disorder is a condition involving decline in cognitive skills due to reduced blood flow to the brain, right? So essentially, you know, don't talk to crazy people, because usually when you do, right, they upset you, and that affects your blood pressure, right, and blood flow to the brain. So basically, that is a summation of everything I learned about the brain. And let's see if there's anything else here. I believe that's at the end of it. And as you can see, there's a lot more garbage and noise and competition and people walking around in underwears. So we'll end the video here, right? You guys get the general gist of it. Protect yourself from crazy people. Treat them like they have the coronavirus, right?